I think we're all sick of beating around the bush. We've got a whole bunch of new Epstein files. We clearly know the big picture of what's going on with Epstein at this point, and all of our officials are dancing around what the populace already knows. Epstein worked for Israel. It's obvious. It's actually not just the Israeli government. It's not. If it was just the Israeli government, none of this would have happened, because this was all made possible by American Jewish people, as well as a lot of other criminal scumbags that weren't Jewish along the way. But Jeffrey Epstein is an American Jew, right? Leslie Wexner is an American Jew. A whole bunch of the financiers that back them are American Jews. A whole bunch of the people that do this money laundering, that do this access, that do this human trafficking, that manage these people, they're American Jews. Or they're like Harley Pasternak and they're Canadian Jews, right? And so it's this dual loyalty thing with this corrupt foreign government involved that makes for this complex web of allegiances. That when the organized crime element seeps in there and you have these rich, corrupt motherfuckers with all the power, who are they wielding the power for? That's the uncomfortable question. And without untangling that question, you cannot get to the bottom of Epstein, because you're still stuck pretending that we're just talking about the government of Israel. And I don't think I have to convince you of why we might wonder if there's mob shit going on in the porn industry. And if you look back into the history of who founded the porn industry, you find a similar storyline. And Jewish people have proudly told that story many, many times. Okay? And whatever. I think that's degenerate, and I think it fucks our culture up. But ultimately in America, it's not illegal. At least as long as you're not funding criminal enterprises with it, as long as you're not, feeding women with it and stuff like that, which we all know is happening. But this is the nature of the dual loyalty question. And we haven't really even touched on politics at all yet, but it's all up in politics. And Chuck Schumer really put it best. New York Times article from this year, March 5th this year, where he straight up said, quote, "My job," he told the reporter, "is to keep the left pro-Israel." Actually, Chuck, your job is to represent the American people. Right? A Jew stands up for his people regardless of the cost and regardless of the politics of it. On this, Schumer has acquitted himself bravely. This is the dual loyalty question. And it's super uncomfortable. Because ultimately, you kind of got to respect Jewish people for their loyalty to their people. If you're one of these white people that's all not with the Jews these days, and you're all white America Christian values and shit, I mean, honestly, you're wishing that y'all were more like that. The problem is that the moment that this foreign nation was founded as the representation of this Jewish identity, instead of that Jewish identity being a intangible diaspora concept, then we had a problem. Because then there's an intelligence agency at the other end of that sentence. Then there's a foreign military at the other end of that sentence. Then there's a national interest in Israel's survival at the other end of that sentence. And we already know that survival led them to steal nuclear weapons from us, which they've never declared, and they might even be holding everyone hostage with. Look up the Samson option. And so it was the founding of the state of Israel that turned this sort of okay, Jews, we get it, and changed it from this question of yeah, all right, you guys get along really well and you have a lot of rituals, into, but are you pro-America or are you pro-Israel?